Commissioner, it's pretty messy this time, sir. We're getting a sample of the acid.
Carefully, I hope.
Very carefully.
Give us a statement, Commissioner. Come on, Commissioner, give us a statement.
Later.
Was it hydrosulfurous acid in the water?
Later, gentlemen, later.
Hey, there's
Commissioner,
McMillan.
Is the asylum killer a man or a
Do you have
woman?
any leads,
Come on, were there any
Do you have
witnesses?
any leads,
Commissioner,
I just got here,
identified the
gentlemen.
victim?
Later.
Commissioner, we found footprints again.
The usual overshoes.
Well, it looks like it, but I'm afraid they're not going to do us any good.
The asylum killer's footprints, Commissioner?
It looks that way.
Can't you just see him standing there watching? In his last letter, Commissioner, he said he was always sorry when one of his victims dies because then he has to plan his next one.
We're all sorry.
I've lost count, Commissioner. How many unsolved cases does this make that your department is trying to pin on the asylum killer?
Before I answer that question, you'll have to rephrase it.
Rephrasing the question won't change the answer, Commissioner. And I haven't lost count. 5 unsolved murders, including this one.
How long are you going to let one man terrify an entire city?
I hope you realize the kind of coverage you're giving these killings is only adding to the hysteria. A little less sensationalism would be greatly appreciated by your police department.
Any leads, Commissioner?
We'll get him.
When, Commissioner? In a week? A month? My viewers are getting a little edgy, you know.
Your telecasts are getting me a little edgy. You may tell your viewers tonight that an arrest is imminent.
Eminent, do you mean this is the asylum killer's last murder? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying the next time I have to see any of you will be at the press conference I'll call when I announce the arrest of the asylum killer. Now, that's all, gentlemen. Thank you.
Well, just exactly when will that press conference be, Commissioner?
Anything yet, Phil?
I'm taking it back to the lab now, Commissioner.
All right. Tom, get a report back to me as soon as you can.
Yes, sir.
I shouldn't let the press get to me like that, but that Peter Jordan would have his viewers hysterical by nightfall if I didn't say something a little reassuring.
I thought you were most reassuring, sir. I feel much better. I just hope that the asylum killer hears that he's committed his last murder.
Yeah, and like everyone else in this town, believes everything he hears on the news.
You mean you think he's already planning his next one?
I do. If only there was some connection between all these killings, a motive, anything. At least we'd have some way of predicting who his next victim might be.
Hey, I see you. What do you do? Get your kick stealing the police commissioner's paper? I can see the news on TV, you know. Hello? Oh, Mother, how are you? What? I never won anything before in my life. I just couldn't believe it. Moon Mountain, that's that new resort that everybody's been talking about, isn't it? You're leaving right now?
That's the way the contest works, they said. You have to be able to go immediately. And of course I am, so I said yes. Except that tomorrow's your birthday, of course. And I feel bad about that.
Don't worry about that. You can get me something expensive when you get back. Anyway, I'm sure the Mac has got something marvelous planned for tomorrow night. Mother, that's it. The dinner was for tomorrow night.
I'm not following you.
Oh, Mother, wait a minute. It all started this afternoon when I got a call from Mealing's restaurant telling me that my husband wanted me to meet him for dinner there tonight. Something about a religious holiday that was celebrated by men who worship their wives. What do you mean that doesn't sound like Mac? That sounds exactly like Mac, Mother. Anyway, I went. But I ate alone. Mac never showed up. Well, now I realize it was the restaurant that made the mistake. Mac meant dinner for tomorrow night.
Oh, yes, I'm sure that's what happened, darling. That does sound like Mac. Well, have to hurry. See you in a couple of days.
Okay, Mother, you have a good time. Bye-bye. Of course that's it. I can't remember my own birthday. Mildred? Mildred, where are you? Mildred, where are you? Gee. Somebody having a party? What's going on?
How sweet.
Where are my needles? Oh, Mildred, did you have to take my needles out of my knitting? Mildred, where are you?
You win.
Flagging attendance is forced one of the most unique doubleheaders in sports. For the price of one, you'll get a roller skating match race, and as soon as they can clear the court, a basketball game. Now, if that doesn't get the fans out, they're threatening to bring in an ice rink for a doubleheader of basketball and ice hockey. Tip from an old hand, all that is really needed to increase attendance is a winning team. Pete?
Well, speaking of doubleheaders, the Asylum Killer promises one next time, too. In a letter sent directly to this newscaster earlier this evening, the crazed murderer boasts he'll deliver his 6th and 7th victims simultaneously and in the immediate future. We go now to Marshall Downs for a report on what local citizens are doing about it.
Just what kind of dogs have people been buying lately, Mrs. Maxwell?
German Shepherds and Doberman Pinschers, and that's it.
And has the demand increased over the last few weeks?
Oh, I should say so. I'm selling about 2 dogs a day now. Before the Asylum Killer, I was lucky to sell 2 a week. Business is just great.
The failure of local police to discover the identity of the murderer clearly has citizens in a panic. No longer content to depend on San Francisco's finest for protection, they have begun to arm themselves. The city's 3 largest gun stores report a run on rifles. Now back to Marshall Downs for that report.
How is business, Mr. James?
Well, booming. Bang, bang, booming. Actually, I've never seen anything like it before. We're completely sold out of rifles, so are our competitors.
Then a citizen who doesn't already have a rifle can't get one?
Oh, no, don't say anything like that on the air. We're expecting a big new shipment tomorrow.
What do you think all this gun buying means, Mr. James?
Well, I know what it means to me. I'm not going to be out on the streets after dark.
Because of the Asylum Killer?
No, because of the people I'm selling the guns to.
Meanwhile, the police continue their investigation of this morning's gruesome murder. At the scene of the 5th slaying, Police Commissioner McMillan had this to say in response to a question from your newscaster.
You may tell your viewers tonight that an arrest is imminent.
Imminent? Do you mean this is the Asylum Killer's last murder? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying the next time I have to see any of you will be at the press conference I'll call when I announce the arrest of the Asylum Killer. Now, that's all, gentlemen.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. A promise from the police commissioner and a challenge to that promise from the Asylum Killer, already proclaiming 2 more victims before an arrest can be made.
There's no doubt about it. Hydrosulfurous acid with 8 percentage points mercury content. There's only one company that makes it that way. Listen here. Allied General Chemical Company.
Coverage of the Bay Area News. This has been KYES.
Hi, honey. Sorry I'm late. I called a couple of times, but you were out.
Oh, really? I bet if you tried real hard, you could guess where.
At dinner time? I have no idea. Where?
Oh, come on, you're not trying.
Well, wherever it was, you don't look as though you were having any fun. Want a drink?
No, thanks.
Are you all right?
No. It's not supposed to show.
Not even to me? You look a little down. You want to go out to dinner?
Okay, that did it. We've been out to dinner, Mac, to Mealing's, Peking duck for 2. Is it coming back to you now?
What are you talking about?
Actually, the reason that you may be having such trouble remembering is because you weren't there.
Well, that sounds like a logical explanation.
But you did make the arrangements, didn't you? Peking duck 24 hours in advance.
No, Sally, I didn't do anything of the sort. I don't even know where you got the idea.
Well, I got the idea from the restaurant. They called me this afternoon, and they told me that my husband would like me to join him for dinner there tonight.
And you went, just like that.
Well, Mac, they said that you said that it was a religious holiday, so it never occurred to me to check.
Oh, what religious holiday?
The religious holiday celebrated by men who worship their wives.
Oh, come on, Sally. That doesn't even sound like me.
That's exactly what Mother said.
Oh, she did?
I argued with her. I told her I thought it sounded exactly like you.
Sure you don't want a drink?
I think I'll have a drink. Mac, if you didn't order the dinner, then who did?
Probably somebody playing a practical joke on you, which I don't find very funny either. Did you eat the duck?
Well, they would have been offended if I didn't. You know the Chinese.
No, but how was it?
Wonderful.
Wish I could have made it. I'm starving.
I brought yours home. It's in the oven warming.
You're a perfect wife. Mm-hmm. Paper come tonight?
No, he got away with it again. I don't think that's very funny either, stealing the police commissioner's paper.
He's just a dog. He doesn't know who I am.
Well, it wasn't a dog tonight unless he's taken up wearing trousers. I saw him dashing off with it when I came home.
You saw a man taking the paper?
Well, I didn't see him actually taking it, but the paper was gone and the man was running away. What else could it be?
I think I'll take a look.
Where did you find that?
Behind the tree where I told the paper boy to throw it to keep it away from that dog.
Then that man wasn't after the paper?
Oh, I'm sure he was. He just didn't know where to look.
Well, I wish he'd stolen the paper. I wish someone had stolen the television set. Mac, you don't think that the asylum killer is going to get away with this new threat, do you?
What new threat?
Well, it was on television. He wrote the station another letter.
I wish he'd write us.
Well, he probably knows you wouldn't give him half the attention that the press does.
Nobody is giving him more attention than I am. I have men all over the city trying to find him. What'd the letter say?
This time he promises 2 victims to die simultaneously.
When'd you hear that?
It was just on.
I'll call in right.
You mean you really don't know? On the news, it sounded like you were ready to make an arrest.
I'm ready, all right. I just don't know who to arrest. Well, he's not there. Well, here's one for you.
What are you doing opening my letter?
It's from Mildred.
I've been wondering where she was.
Well, this will certainly tell you. It says, grow tall, anthill, teabag, say apple tournament.
Sounds like Mildred. Gotta see it to read it. Grow tall, go tall, go tall. Got call, she got a call. Aunt Hill, Aunt Hill, Aunt Hill. Aunt ill, her aunt's ill. Teabag, say apple tournament. She'll be back the day after tomorrow. She got a call that her aunt is ill and she'll be back the day after tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Where does her aunt live?
Oh, they just moved again. Somewhere near Bishop, I think.
Seen the letter opener?
Isn't it there?
You sitting on it?
No. Oh, Mildred must have borrowed it and forgotten to put it back. Of course. All the food in the refrigerator.
She used the letter opener on the food in the refrigerator?
No, that's why she prepared all that food. The refrigerator is stuffed. That's to last us until she gets back.
And speaking of food, where's my duck?
I want you to give it another minute. I want it to be just right.
I wonder what she did with it. You know, Sally, I'm proud of you.
Proud of me?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Not too long ago, if
If you thought I'd stood you up, you wouldn't have been here when I got home. You'd have run home to Mother.
Well, I might have this time, except when I got home, I walked in the door and the phone was ringing, and it was Mother telling me goodbye.
I didn't know she was going anywhere.
She wasn't going anywhere, but she won one of those ridiculous telephone contests. You know, they ask her questions, she answered. Well, now she's on her way to a free weekend at that new resort, Moon Mountain.
Oh. First Mildred, now your mother. It looks like a mass exodus.
I hardly call my mother and Mildred a mass anything.
I wish we had a sick aunt to get us out of town for a few days. I'd even settle for an anemic cousin. Well, I tried. Happy birthday.
Oh, Mac. Acapulco?
I made arrangements with the department to be out of town for a few days, but obviously now we can't go.
You don't have to explain that to me.
We'll keep the tickets, just change the date of departure. And tomorrow night, I'll take you out to dinner someplace you've never been before, and this time I will be with you, I promise.
You don't have to take me anyplace special. I much prefer a plain old hamburger with you to Peking duck without you.
We're gonna make tomorrow night an occasion, even if we never leave the premises.
Oh, I like that part about never leaving the premises.
I didn't hear that. I didn't get home in time to hear that. Nobody knows what time I got home. If I don't answer it, they'll just call somebody else, that's all. I'm too conscientious for this job. Hello, Enright here. A telegram? Yeah, go ahead, read it.
Tried unsuccessfully to reach you by phone tonight. Have decided a weekend off may do us both good. Am taking Sally on a trip. Why don't you try it? See you on Monday, Mac.
A trip? Well, I know he's going on a trip. I mean, I was there when he picked up the tickets. Huh? Oh, no, operator, I wasn't talking to you. But thank you. Thank you very much indeed.
If you tell me what you're looking for, maybe I can be more helpful.
I'll know it when I find it. It's bound to be a sale between 80 and 100 gallons. Hey, wait a minute. Salamac. Is that the name of a company?
Tell you the truth, I don't know.
You have a phone book?
Over there.
No Salamac company here.
Well, it's signed for by Mr. R. Salamac, 250 Trenton.
Thank you.
If you wait a couple hours, I'll give you some champagne to go with it.
Why do we have to wait? Are you warming that too?
Will you look in the refrigerator? There's a note on it.
Well, it's from Mildred. You know I can't read it.
I know it. It says, "Happy birthday. To be consumed at midnight to commemorate yet another year. Love, Mildred."
She makes it sound like an anniversary. Still, it's a good year. Do we have to wait?
We do. It's a nice way to begin my birthday.
It smells good.
I know it is good.
Got a fork.
Oh, shoot.
There aren't any knives.
Don't be ridiculous. Of course there's knives. Mac, there aren't any knives.
That's what I said.
How is it?
Delicious. What are you doing?
Mac, there aren't any knives. Anywhere.
I'll check the sterling.
Mac, you don't think that somebody is... That's a ridiculous idea. Knives are gonna be right here. There aren't any knives. Just silver. Do you think this is another practical joke? Well, next year I'm not gonna tell anybody that it's my birthday.
Who did you tell this year?
Nobody. Mac, you don't think it's a joke, do you?
Well, offhand, I'd say we've been robbed.
The TV's here. I'm just watching it. And all the appliances are here. Isn't that what they usually take first, Mac?
Your better homes have been known to...
The jewelry, I'll check it.
I'll check in right again.
Hello. Oh, Sergeant Enright. How nice to hear from you again tonight.
Loretta, I'm very, very sorry about having to work late tonight.
Oh, that's all right, Sergeant. When you canceled our dinner, I decided to spend the evening with an old friend.
Oh, well, I figured that there was someone waiting in line to take my place. But I'm glad you got home early.
I never left home.
Oh, you mean your friend came over to your house? Is he still there? I mean, look, Loretta, I can call back later.
No, I'm glad you called. I miss being with you tonight, Sergeant.
Yeah, so did I. I mean, I miss being with you, Loretta. And I was kind of hoping that we could just leave tonight. I've got reservations and everything. Separate rooms, of course.
Reservations? Are we going somewhere, Sergeant?
Well, the last time I was with you, you mentioned this trip you were interested in taking.
Oh, Sergeant, you don't mean Moon Mountain. I mean, that's the trip this season. You got reservations?
Well, I had to throw my weight around a little, but I got them. And, well, is that okay? I mean, is it possible? I mean, will you, Loretta?
Tonight, excuse me, but I am talking to Sergeant Charles Enright of the San Francisco Police, aren't I?
Is something wrong? You can't go?
Well, it's just such an unexpected invitation. I mean, especially coming from you, Sergeant. I've never known you to be so impulsive.
Well, it's the first time I ever have been. And if you can't go, it's probably going to be the last.
Oh, I can go. I've been waiting for someone to invite me to Moon Mountain ever since it opened, but I never dreamed it would be you.
Yeah, well, neither did I.
Enright's still busy. Stereos there, antiques, paintings.
Nothing is missing.
You sound disappointed.
Well, I am. It's a little bit unflattering to be told that your jewelry isn't even worth stealing. There's some really nice pieces in here.
Camera's still here.
Mac, it just occurred to me, that man who's outside. He's the thief that invited us out to dinner so he could burgle a house. It wasn't a practical joke at all.
That just occurred to you, huh?
You'd already figured it out. Everything else probably makes sense to you, too.
No, nothing else makes sense. Wait a minute. The letter opener's missing.
Oh, Mildred just misplaced that. No, of course. We just thought that Mildred misplaced that.
Knives and a letter opener.
It's so strange. You know, my knitting needles are missing, too.
Knitting needles?
Yeah, well, I was going to knit while I was waiting for you to come home tonight, but I couldn't find my needles. I found my knitting, but I couldn't find my needles.
Knitting needles. Knives. Letter opener. Scissors, Sally.
Scissors? Of course, everything else was sharp.
Razor blades? No scissors.
Mine too.
Let's check in the kitchen.
No scissors, Mac.
My tools are gone. Sharp objects.
Well, I just don't understand it.
What other sharp objects do we have? Fireplace tools.
Oh, Mac, I don't understand this.
There's got to be a logical explanation to all this.
Oh, good, what?
I don't know yet. Let's go over the facts again.
Well, there's only one fact. We have been robbed.
First, you were treated to a pre-birthday dinner by a party unknown.
Who was trying to get us out of the house so he could rob us. Only he didn't take anything of value.
Value to him is obviously different than value to us. He took only sharp objects.
Obviously, he didn't want us to cut. What? Ourselves, Mac?
I doubt that.
Could it have possibly been Mildred? Could she have done something with all of our sharp objects?
Well, that's good thinking. When a housekeeper like Mildred lives with you, she's definitely a suspect at all times. What if he's still on the phone? Now there's no answer. It's not like the good sergeant. First he's out, then he's in, then he's out again.
No, I always keep this with me. I feel naked without it.
Oh, like I feel without my weapon?
I have a lot more in here than just a weapon. These are the big guns. Eyeshadow, makeup base, wrinkle cream, and milk cleanser.
Well, I promise I won't steal it.
Okay. Champagne. Sergeant, is this the real you?
No, it isn't. But then it's not the real commissioner to give me the weekend off, either.
This is really quite exciting, Sergeant.
Are you going to call me Sergeant all weekend, Loretta?
I love calling you Sergeant. I mean, I like that you're a sergeant, don't you?
Well, sure I do. It's just that I want to forget it for the weekend. I mean, I want to let Charlie Enright out to howl for a couple of days.
Well, I find Charlie Enright adorable also.
You know, Loretta, I really didn't think that you were going to come with me. I mean, I really didn't think that you would. I mean, there must be a whole line of fellas just waiting to take you to nice places.
Well, a lot of guys call me, yes, but you're my only sergeant. Sergeant.
Mac? I have solved it.
Oh?
It was Mildred.
She took all our knives to her aunt's?
No, she had them sharpened. Don't you see, some man probably came to the door and Mildred gave him everything that we own to be sharpened. Doesn't that sound exactly like Mildred? They'll be back tomorrow, nice and sharp. Only why did she give him my knitting needles and the letter opener?
And the fire poker.
Only that really sounds like Mildred, too, doesn't it?
I suppose so, honey.
Mac, if it wasn't Mildred, then the person that took all of our sharp objects would have to be insane, wouldn't he?
Central?
Central, over.
412 here. What's Commissioner McMillan's address?
250, Trenton.
That's what I thought. Thank you.
that double murder that the asylum killer has planned?
Mm-hmm.
You don't suppose he has anybody special in mind, do
Well,
you?
now, let's not get like everybody else in San Francisco, imagining we're his next victims. How about a drink?
Corkscrew and the bottle opener are missing, aren't they? Not even Mildred would have those sent out to be sharpened. Mac, I think I'll take you up on that drink. Oh. That's so strong. Just what are you trying to take my mind off of?
It's what I'd like to get your mind on. Arriba.
Arriba.
Abajo.
Abajo.
Al centro.
El centro.
Al dentro. Sally, I've got a great idea. Why don't we begin celebrating your birthday tonight? Let's check into a hotel, have breakfast in bed, spend the rest of the day there, and go out on the town tomorrow night. A real 24-hour celebration.
What a tempting idea, especially the part about spending the day in bed. You always did know how to make a girl an offer.
Then let's go.
Mac, next year. I don't think the police commissioner should be chased out of his house tonight.
No one's chasing me. I wanted to take you to Acapulco, didn't I? But since we have to stay in the city, the least I can do is take you to a hotel for the night.
You're only offering because you think I'm scared.
Are you scared?
Oh, yes.
Then let's go.
Mac! Come here. You can't run away every time your wife is a little scared.
That's what I love about you. If we stay, do you think you'd be able to sleep?
Of course. He didn't take the bed, did he?
All right. I'll get a patrol car to cruise the neighborhood.
Nothing wrong with that. As long as he doesn't bother us.
Why don't you look under the hood?
Well, I don't think it would do very much good.
How do you know?
Because everything always looks fine every time I look under the hood.
Oh, you too, huh? Me too.
You too?
Me too.
Oh, listen, I was saving this till later. But we might as well drink it now, huh? I mean, it could help to keep us warm. It's not on ice.
Well, that's okay, because I am.
No. You know, I didn't know which kind you'd prefer. You know, the pipers or the mums.
They're both good.
Yeah, I mean, some people are really very, very, very fussy. Oh, excuse me. They're really fussy about the kind of champagne that they drink.
Oh, I know. I know some men who think they can't get down anything but Dom Perignon.
Oh, I don't know that one.
Oh, it's good, too.
Oh. Well, all I knew is that I wanted something, Skull, something important. I mean, I wasn't going to settle for any of that domestic stuff. Hey, that's really good.
Sally, you know what I'm thinking?
You got a solution.
I'm thinking maybe I should go back into law practice.
Oh, Mac.
Well, it'll be okay if I could keep my public life out of my private one, but I can't seem to do that.
Well, it's exactly the way I like it. You know, I'm very suspicious of men who do not involve their wives in their work. And you know yourself that my dad said that my mother could put clues together faster than he could.
Well, I wish she were here tonight.
Don't you find that a little strange?
What?
That Mother's not here? But why would anybody want to get my mother out of town?
Yeah, well, she does have a way of dropping in unexpectedly.
I never thought that bothered you.
It doesn't. I love your mother.
How nice. Still, I wish that Mildred's aunt could have held on until Mother got back.
Do you have a phone number for Mildred's aunt, just in case Mildred does know where the knives are?
Not since she's moved. Anyway, Mildred's not going to get there till tomorrow morning. She takes the bus.
Mac, you don't suppose there is a possibility that Mildred is going to find her aunt in good health? A possibility that it's all part of the same plan that got me out of the house so we could be robbed, the same plan that got us robbed, and the same plan that got my mother out of town for the weekend, and the
I
same...
think it's a possibility. It's all part of the same plan.
Aha!
Yes, and it's also a possibility that by the light of day, none of this will seem so puzzling.
You're not trying to tell me that you could sleep.
You wouldn't care to join me, would you?
Well, it's not that I couldn't sleep. It's just that I did have this book that I was dying to finish.
What book?
A War and Peace.
I didn't know you'd started it.
Oh, I haven't. I just thought tonight would be an ideal night to start it and to finish it.
Well, I probably couldn't sleep either.
You are so cute when you lie. How about Scrabble?
Scrabble, thanks a lot. How can you keep your mind on Scrabble?
Well, if I don't, you know where it will be.
Well, I guess I'd better call for help.
Call? There's no one around to hear you.
Well, I have a car phone. Of course, I wasn't planning to use it on this trip, but it's a lot faster than calling an auto club.
You know, I was telling my roommate about all the advantages of dating a man like you, and I didn't know you had a car phone, but I'll put that on my list.
Your list? Well, I'd sure like to hear that list. I mean, what does someone like you see in a cop?
Well, I think best of all, I like that you like being a cop. You do, don't you?
Yes. I mean, why else would I do it?
Well, I'm a model for the money that's in it.
Oh, well, I don't know of any cops that are in it for the money.
I don't think I've ever gone with anyone that could make that statement.
Hello, operator. This is Sergeant Charles Enright of the San Francisco Police Department.
It just gives me goosebumps hearing you say it.
Oh. Well, maybe it's the cold.
No, it's you. Really?
Yes, operator. This is Sergeant Charles Enright of the San Francisco Police. And I think I've just run out of gas.
Well, that's all I can get.
Rear? Well, why didn't you make it deer?
I don't have a D.
Oh. Well, you ruined my play. No, here, I've still got one. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 4 is 9.
Death. That's a swell word. How'd you think of that?
Why hasn't that patrol car arrived?
I'm sure it already has. You don't think they're going to shine a spotlight in the living room just to let us know they're here, do you? They patrol outside, because if there's someone to find, that's where he'll be.
If they find him.
If there's someone to find.
Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
What if he's there and they don't find him? Oh, this game is not doing me a bit of good, Mac. My mind is still you know where.
Let's play another kind of game. One that's a little more dangerous.
Like what?
Well, if there is someone out there, he's probably waiting for us to go to bed before he makes his next move.
So we turn out the lights and nab him.
Are you game?
It's a lot more interesting than Scrabble.
Sally, you know what I'm thinking?
You got a solution.
I'm thinking maybe I should go back into law practice.
Oh, Mac.
Well, it'll be okay if I could keep my public life out of my private one, but I can't seem to do that.
Well, that's exactly the way I like it. You know, I'm very suspicious of men who do not involve their wives in their work. And you know yourself that my dad said that my mother could put clues together faster than he could.
Yeah, I wish she were here tonight.
Don't you find that a little strange?
What?
That Mother's not here? But why would anybody want to get my mother out of town?
Yeah, well, she does have a way of dropping in unexpectedly.
I never thought that bothered you.
It doesn't. I love your mother.
How nice. Still, I wish that Mildred's aunt could have held on until Mother got back.
Do you have a phone number for Mildred's aunt, just in case Mildred does know where the knives are?
Not since she's moved. Anyway, Mildred's not going to get there till tomorrow morning. She takes the bus. Mac, you don't suppose there is a possibility that Mildred is going to find her aunt in good health. A possibility that it's all part of the same plan that got me out of the house so we could be robbed, the same plan that got us robbed, and the same plan that got my mother out of town for the weekend.
I think it's a possibility. It's all part of the same plan.
Aha!
Yes, and it's also a possibility that by the light of day, none of this will seem so puzzling.
You're not trying to tell me that you could sleep.
You wouldn't care to join me, would you?
Well, it's not that I couldn't sleep. It's just that I did have this book that I was dying to finish.
What book?
A War and Peace.
I didn't know you'd started it.
Oh, I haven't. I just thought tonight would be an ideal night to start it and to finish it.
Well, I probably couldn't sleep either.
You are so cute when you lie. How about Scrabble?
Scrabble, thanks a lot. How can you keep your mind on Scrabble?
Well, if I don't, you know where it will be.
Well, I guess I'd better call for help.
Call? There's no one around to hear you.
Well, I have a car phone. Of course, I wasn't planning to use it on this trip, but it's a lot faster than calling an auto club.
You know, I was telling my roommate about all the advantages of dating a man like you, and I didn't know you had a car phone, but I'll put that on my list.
Your list? Well, I'd sure like to hear that list. I mean, what does someone like you see in a cop?
Well, I think, best of all, I like that you like being a cop. You do, don't you?
Yes. I mean, why else would I do it?
Well, I'm a model for the money that's in it.
Oh, well, I don't know of any cops that are in it for the money.
I don't think I've ever gone with anyone that could make that statement.
Hello, operator. This is Sergeant Charles Enright of the San Francisco Police Department.
It just gives me goosebumps hearing you say it.
Oh. Well, maybe it's the cold.
No, it's you. Really?
Yes, operator. This is Sergeant Charles Enright of the San Francisco Police. And I think I've just run out of gas.
Well, that's all I can get.
Rear? Well, why didn't you make it deer?
I don't have a D.
Oh. Well, you ruined my play. No, here, I've still got one. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 4 is 9.
Death. That's a swell word. How'd you think of that?
Why hasn't that patrol car arrived?
I'm sure it already has. You don't think they're going to shine a spotlight in the living room just to let us know they're here, do you? They patrol outside, because if there's someone to find, that's where you'll be.
If they find him.
If there's someone to find.
Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
What if he's there and they don't find him? Oh, this game is not doing me a bit of good, Mac. My mind is still you know where.
Let's play another kind of game. One that's a little more dangerous.
Like what?
Well, if there is someone out there, he's probably waiting for us to go to bed before he makes his next move.
So we turn out the lights and nab him.
Are you game?
It's a lot more interesting than Scrabble.
Loretta, we're here. Moon Mountain. Loretta, look, this is the trip you've been waiting for a whole year for someone to take you on, and now someone has. Loretta, are you all right?
Hadn't we better go home now, Sergeant? I mean, isn't it getting late?
Loretta, don't go to sleep. We're here, Moon Mountain, and... well, no wonder everybody's talking about it. I mean, it's fantastic. Please?
Stay here.
Okay.
now, Mac? Nothing's happened. What now?
I think we'd feel better if we took a stroll through the neighborhood.
Oh, what a wonderful idea. By moonlight, it'll even be romantic. Isn't it a perfect night for a stroll?
Oh, I always try to take a walk on garbage night. That's when the street looks its best.
Well, why don't you not look down? You should look up at the stars.
That's one of the things I love about you. Hey! Wait here.
You'll have to forgive Mac. He's a killer. But that's why we got him, of course. To protect us from the asylum killer.
Well, I'm sorry, but a man just ran through your door.
Oh, that was Harry. He lives here. And I recognize you from the TV. You're the police commissioner, right?
Yeah, that's right, ma'am. This is my wife, Sally.
Oh, Mrs. Commissioner. I told Harry he was going to have to cut that out now that we have a police commissioner living in the neighborhood.
What exactly was Harry doing?
Come on, Harry. Tell them.
Maybe the commissioner will show a little mercy, since we're neighbors, and they won't give you the electric chair.
Well, since her mother moved in with us, Commissioner, we're a 5-can family, but I still only got 4 cans. So on garbage nights,
Come on, Harry,
slip the extra into other folks' cans. You know, you have 4 cans, Commissioner, but you're not really much more than a 2-can family.
Well, I mean, you can have one of our cans.
Maybe just borrow it until you have kids, or her mother comes to live with you.
I feel better now, don't you?
Isn't it amazing what the mind can imagine?
Uh-huh.
And how simple it all is when you have an explanation? It wasn't a prowler at all.
Hey, it's almost midnight. It's time for champagne.
Mm-hmm.
Happy birthday, sweetheart.
This is going to be a terrific birthday. You know, I feel 10 years younger than I did 10 minutes ago.
How old are you now, anyway?
What a tacky question.
Well, I'm not so sure I ever did now.
I don't think you're ever gonna know. The only part you have to know is the part about till death do us part.
You had to say that, didn't you?
Well, it just slipped down.
What's more?
Mm-hmm. You know, I'm beginning to get really sleepy.
Oh, yeah?
Okay, Joe, we're all set.
Let's go over the checklist again.
Okay. Food cleared, windows checked, doors checked, check. What are you so worried about?
I don't take chances. Not in this job.
Look, I don't take chances either. The list was correctly posted on the door. In fact, what I am showing you is that everything has been checked.
Okay. Just seems kind of funny, everything done. They must have got here awfully early.
You know what they always say, the early bird gets the worms. Except all we ever gets the bugs.
What is it, Mac? What's happening?
I'm not sure yet. Get out.
Are you all right?
Yeah. I just feel as I spent the day now.
Mac, it looks as though there's a bag over the house. Is that possible?
Exterminators?
Exterminators? I didn't call them. I've been meaning to call them, but I know I didn't call them.
I know you didn't call him. Neither did I.
The asylum killer. This is how he's gonna kill us, Mac. He likes his victims to die slowly. That's his style. We're the doubleheader, Mac.
We're not gonna die slowly. We're not gonna die at all. We woke up just in time.
Mac, you can burn it.
Can't. Non-flammable. Maybe I can cut it.
Stand by.
There's plenty of good air upstairs. Come on.
Mac, I know that gas is heavier than air, so it rises. But it does rise. Oh, Mac, we've got to think of something else to try.
Yeah.
Mac, what are you doing? You can't cut through canvas with a pole like that.
No, but I can push at it.
And somebody will see us.
Get back.
Here,
Fantastic.
try my specialty. Try. Help! Help!
Hey, cut that racket out there, will you? This is Saturday. People are still trying to sleep around here.
They gotta get somebody to fix that machine before we go on another job. Somebody's gonna call the police department if they don't.
Just me two on. We'll squirt a little on when we get back to the shop.
Save it. If it isn't
For
bad,
what?
they're not gonna hear it. We'll get out. We'll make it.
How?
Well,
Oh,
you've
man.
forgotten the telephone.
That's dead. You know that.
That isn't gonna stop people from calling us. And when they can't get through, they'll investigate.
My mother. She's always fighting with the telephone company. But not long distance, Mac. Mildred's not gonna call us. Everybody else in town is used to the bad service. They won't even think about it. Nobody's gonna check, Mac. Nobody.
I'm sure Enright will be calling to check.
Loretta, wake up. Loretta, we've been here at Moon Mountain for hours, and you don't even know what it looks like. Come on, let's take a walk on over to the window, huh? I mean, I got this wonderful room with a view just for you. And, oh, Loretta, you don't know how many nights I've thought about spending the weekend with you. I mean, I've looked forward to it from the very first moment that I ever saw you. I know you're out of my league, Loretta, but what's the point of going out with someone who isn't out of my league? Only this isn't really the way I imagined it. I mean, well, it's just that I thought before we fell asleep together that we'd be awake together. You know, I wish the commissioner had never even sent me that telegram. Come to think of it, it's really not like the commissioner to send me a telegram. Operator, I'd like to place a call to Dr. Cooper. You awake, Loretta?
Here, breathe through this. I've got another idea. Let's go up the attic. Here.
Gee, this is better up here. For how long, Mac?
Oh, we have 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah, the way I read that, we have about an hour.
Hey. Happy birthday.
I've forgotten all about it. Well, it's one birthday I'll remember for the rest of my life.
Certainly got us into one this time, didn't I?
It's not your fault.
I always think I can handle anything.
You can. You know, Mac, I'm not afraid of dying as long as we're together. I'd just be afraid to go on living without you.
Sergeant! Sergeant Enright!
Okay, they found me. Well, I was ready to go back anyhow. Mrs. Hall, I never expected to see you here.
It's an unexpected pleasure for me too, Sergeant. How are you?
I'm just fine. Are you alone?
Are you trying to pick me up, Sergeant?
No, but I'd love to buy you breakfast. Look, I hate counters. We could move over to that table.
What a lovely idea. Thank you. Does your room have a nice view, Sergeant?
Oh, yes, I've been looking at it all morning. It's also the most expensive view I've ever had.
Well, I wouldn't know about that, Sergeant. I'm not paying for my room. I won this trip.
Won it? Well, how did you do that?
One of those phone contests where they call and ask you a question.
Oh, well, what was the question you had to answer to win a trip like this? I mean, it must have been a Lulu.
Oh, it was, Sergeant. They wanted to know the name of the police commissioner of San Francisco. I wish Mac and Sally were here. What if they didn't get away to Acapulco? Perhaps I should give them a call. They could fly up this afternoon.
Oh. Well, I'd love seeing the commissioner.
I thought some music would be nice.
Here. This won first place, didn't
Yeah. For the worst wedding present that we received. Ooh, the Death March. I didn't know we had the Death March.
You don't. This isn't ours.
He put it there. He thought of everything.
As a matter of fact, he didn't. Mr. Fitzsimons.
Mr. Fitzsimons. We haven't even seen him since the last time he turned us into the police for playing the records too loud.
Why don't I go downstairs and play the stereo too loud?
No, you can't go down there.
I have to.
You can't.
You'll know I made it when you hear the music.
Have you come to save us?
I'm afraid not, Mrs. McMillan. Though I'm touched you're able to see the potential for kindness that lurks beneath this mask. I am here to be with you at the end, however.
I thought you'd come to save us.
No one will come to save you, Mrs. McMillan. But it's almost over now. So why not relax and stop fighting it? You must be very sleepy.
Someone is coming to save us.
No. And your disappointment will only be the greater if you continue to think that. You've done all you can, Mrs. McMillan. I congratulate you and your husband. You've lasted much longer than I thought you would. Are you comfortable?
I know you.
We've never met, Mrs. McMillan.
Your voice is familiar.
That pleases me. Thank you.
If I don't know you, why are you doing this?
I don't understand it.
I'm afraid they never understand. I've talked to them all, you know. Just before the end.
Talk to who?
Why, my victims. You and your husband will make 6 and 7. I can't tell you how pleased I am with myself over this one. It's clearly the most original and also the most technically difficult. The storyline was perfect from the beginning, of course. But then to have dream casting, the police commissioner and his wife.
Dream casting? Are you filming this?
Just lie here quietly. Everything is going to be fine.
Sally, why did you open the door? Sally!
Welcome, Commissioner.
So you finally showed up. You do. Have to watch, don't you?
How nice to be expected. Your wife seems surprised to see me. Though we've been having a lovely little chat, considering her condition. But I can see your mind's not quite as foggy yet. How do you do it, Commissioner? Oh, don't make that mistake. Just after I praised you on how well your mind was working.
Oh, this afternoon? I don't see how. 3 days' work. No, I don't think so. Yeah, I realize. But thank you anyway. Goodbye.
They wanted you to work today?
Yes, all weekend. Pose at some factory that's closed.
You mean they want you to come back from your trip just for 3 days' work? Isn't that asking an awful lot?
But then they pay me an awful lot, Sergeant. I get $400 a day.
$400 a day? Well, at those prices, you have got to go back.
Well, what about the prices here? I feel terrible if I've cost you all that money and then just slept.
Oh, that's all right. It's just that I don't know when I can get away again.
Hey, why don't I cook dinner for you one night next week?
You can cook?
Oh, yeah, I'm a great cook. Of course, I'm not allowed to eat, but I'm a great cook. And thank you for the best sleep I've had in weeks.
Sally, wake up.
He said I could sleep now.
Why not leave your wife alone, Commissioner? She's beginning to rest quite easily.
I know who you are. I recognize that voice.
Aren't you even going to ask me the reason why? Only last week, I believe you issued a statement that the asylum killer strikes for no reason at all. I could hardly read that on the air without laughing. There's always a reason, Commissioner.
There's nothing to connect them. You chose your victims at random. Why?
To prove I was right. In the beginning, it was only theory, of course. I started by trying to write for television, you know. But my scripts were rejected for their implausibility. Well, I've showed them now, haven't I?
You've been acting out your rejected scripts.
And most convincingly, you'll have to admit, Commissioner. I've terrified an entire city.
With the aid of your nightly telecasts, yes.
That was all part of my plan. Once I decided to produce my own scripts and prove how plausible my plots were, I made sure they got the television coverage they deserved. I'm the only newscaster who's dared show how incompetent the police really are. What a pity you won't be able to hear how I report your deaths on my newscast tomorrow evening. The supreme example of police ineptitude. You're beginning to annoy me, Commissioner. Don't force me to shoot you.
And wreck a plot as ingenious as yours. That would be too bad.
But I will if I have to.
I can't believe a mind as subtle as yours would resort to simple gunplay, unless, of course, you're planning something far more ingenious than I suspected. A triple play instead of a double header.
Triple play? What are you talking about?
With all this gas, you fire that gun and the flash of it'll blow the roof off this place. Unless, of course, that's what you have in mind. The three of us at once, who can tell with a mind like yours?
Kill myself? Don't be silly, Commissioner.
Still not ready?
To die? Why would I ever be ready to die?
That's what all these killings are about, isn't it? Watching your victims die. Trying to get to the point where you can face it. Well, you've watched 5 victims die now. Can you go out with 6 and 7?
What are you doing?
Fire it. We can all go together. Maybe we can even dance.
Turn that on!
Sally, breathe deeply.
Oh.
Breathe.
I was just resting, Mac.
Keep it on till we get out of here.
Mac, don't shoot! The gas will explode.
Hey, there's people in there. Call the police.
The trouble with people who invent implausible plots is they don't recognize one when they hear it.
Well, in Moon Mountain, everything I said. Oh, it's so wonderful you could all get away and get here for the weekend.
Oh, Mother, that was just a lovely excuse for you to stay another week waiting for us. Don Perignon, Sergeant, you shouldn't have.
Well, some people are very choosy about their champagnes. Mrs. McMillan, happy birthday a week late.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
I'll never complain again about being a year older.
What's the matter, Commissioner? You're not drinking.
Oh, no, it's not that, Sergeant. It's just that reminds me of the last time I had champagne to celebrate Sally's birthday. I was unconscious before I could finish it.
Well, don't worry, darling. From now on, I'll be your official taster.
Hey, I like the sound of that. Really having a lot of trouble here.
Wife has arrived at the hospital, Commissioner. Dr. Jackson's already there.
Roger, I'm on my way.
Yes, sir.
Sally, you're pregnant. You've got to remember that.
We're lucky this time, but another fall could have disastrous consequences. You've got to be more careful, Sally.
I realized that, Dr. Jackson, but it happened so quickly. One moment I felt perfectly fine, and the next minute I was out.
I'd better talk with the commissioner.
Please don't. He's got enough worries. I don't want to cause him any more problems.
All right. But I'm ordering complete rest for the next few days. And I would like to have the law on my side to enforce it.
She's going to be just fine, Commissioner. Calling the ambulance was my idea, you know. She wanted to pop into the car. But I know you. You wouldn't want me to take any chances with her.
Where's examining room, Al?
Just around the corner. Fortunately, I am blessed with a cool head, which gets even cooler in emergencies. But when I saw her lying at the bottom of those stairs...
This way?
Oh, yeah, right. When I saw her lying at the bottom of those stairs, well, the first thought that came into my head was ambulance. You go ahead. I'll wait here.
Sally, are you all right?
We're fine, Mac. Could you hand me my shoes, please?
Yeah, what happened?
Oh, I just had a little fainting spell. They shouldn't have even told you about it.
Well, shouldn't you be in bed?
Are you kidding? That's how I got into this trouble.
What did the doctor say?
He said the usual thing. That'll be $30, please.
Oh, Sally.
Well, Mac, really, I'm fine. Mildred just got a little carried away, that's all. How do I look?
Just beautiful.
I still look beautiful. And charming. Just sort of all around wonderful, I guess. Oh, you say the nicest things. Now, how could anybody know I'm here already? Hello? Yes. Oh, yes. Yes, just a minute. It's for you, here.
McMillan? Who? Yes, put her on. Hello? Yes, of course I remember you. How are you? Well, it's nice to hear your voice again. What? Now? Well, I'm afraid that's impossible right now.
Mac, on account of me? I just told you I feel fine. Now you go ahead and you go back to work.
You sure?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Oh, no, that was my wife. Oh, thank you. Well, I'd love for you to meet her, of course. All right, Lee, I'll be there as soon as I can. Goodbye.
May I play detective?
You are your father's daughter.
That was not just another voice out of the past. From the way you reacted, it sounded like you just heard the Hallelujah chorus. Now, she wants you to do her a favor, but you're a little reluctant because you're afraid I'll get jealous. Which means she's very attractive.
I'll call her back, tell her I can't make it.
How long ago did you know her, Mac?
Oh, about 12 years.
12 years? Go see her. 12 years can do all kinds of things to a woman.
You're not a dream, you're not an angel, you're a man. I'm not a queen, I'm a woman. Take my hand. We'll build a space in the lives that we planned, and here we'll stay until it's time for you to go. Yes, we're different, worlds apart, we're not the same. We laughed and played at the start like in a game. You could have stayed outside my heart, but in you came, and here you'll stay until it's time for you to go. Don't ask why, and don't ask how, and don't ask forever. Love me now. This love of mine had no beginning. It has no end. I was an oak, now I'm a willow. Now I can bend, and if I never in my life see you again, still here I'll stay until it's time for you to go. Here I'll stay until it's time for you
That was terrific, honey. Just terrific.
Thank you, Bill. Mac.
Hello, Lee.
Commissioner McMillan. Oh, Mac. It's so good to see you again. This is Ben Matthews.
Hi. How do you do?
And Errol Wilson.
Hello. How are you?
And the guys.
Hi.
Come here, Mac. I want to take you to my dressing room.
Excuse me.
Mac, you are easily the best-looking police commissioner I've ever met.
I assume I'm the only police commissioner you've ever met. I've followed your career, Lee. You've done very well. I'm proud of you. It's even gone better than you planned.
Not true, Mac. Not true at all. I'm sorry. Forgive me, but things just aren't going according to plan at all.
What's wrong?
Jason's left me.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Here I am, rich, famous, and abandoned. That's funny, isn't it? I can remember so well when we talked about our futures. All I wanted was a career and money.
Why did you call, Lee? It's been a very long time. We couldn't go back if we wanted to, and I, for one, don't want to.
I know, Mac. I've seen her pictures in the papers. She's adorable. But it's just that I didn't know where to turn, and then I remembered there was a guy who once thought I was a nice person.
He still thinks so. What do you want me to do?
Well, I suppose what I really need is some legal advice. Jason handled everything, personal and business. And he even owns half this club. Well, I'm supposed to open here in a couple of days, and I'd really like to get out of it if possible. I've made all the money I intend to for that scum.
I don't practice law anymore, Lee. I can recommend several attorneys, good attorneys.
Anything you say, Mac. Mac. Tell your wife not to worry. I won't try to retain you in any way. Come in.
Miss Lee Richards?
Yes.
Commissioner. Do you know about this already?
Know about what?
Could I talk to you for a moment, sir?
Sure. Excuse me.
Do you know her?
Yeah, we're old friends.
Oh. Well, then, sir, I suppose that she's already told you about her husband.
You mean that they separated? Yeah, she just told me.
There was a telephone call to headquarters this morning from his secretary reporting him missing.
Well, he's probably out on a bender somewhere.
No, I'm afraid there's more to it than that, sir. We've done a little checking, and there's a good deal of evidence that he's been murdered by Mrs. Richards.
No, you don't know her. But I've been seeing her for almost a year now. And I love her.
Love her? Oh, that's funny, Jason. Very funny. You're incapable of loving anybody but yourself.
Well, as long as you feel that way about it, there shouldn't be any problem about the divorce.
Divorce? You want a divorce?
The sooner the better.
No divorce, Jason. I'll never give you a divorce.
You haven't been keeping up with the laws, darling. Proven incompatibility is what's necessary in California. I'll divorce you whether you like it or not. Lee, what are you doing with that gun? Lee, that's just bad melodrama. You've never even fired that gun. Lee!
I don't understand. There was no gun. No shots were fired.
But you did argue with him.
Yes, Friday night.
We just heard it on the recorder. Isn't that the way it happened?
Up to the part about the gun. That never happened, I swear it. And we argued at home, not here in the office.
Well, what about the blood on the carpet?
I don't know what that is or what it means.
Well, the recording and the blood stain would seem to indicate that a man, probably Jason Richards, was shot to death in this office.
Well, a recording and a blood stain is not necessarily proof of a man's death.
I know, sir, but there are other indications. Now that, sir, is the sound of a body being dragged out of this office. And there's another blood stain over here, where the murderer paused while holding the body to open the door. You can see that there's a groove in it, sir, like a man's heel was dragged through it.
All right, let's assume that a person was shot and dragged through that door. A, it doesn't prove the person was Jason Richards. B, it doesn't prove the person shot was dead. And C, it doesn't prove the person was shot by Lee Richards. Now, does it? When was the last time you saw your husband?
Friday night. After we argued, he packed a few things and left.
Has he done this sort of thing before?
Yes, we didn't have much of a marriage in the last few years.
Do either one of you own a gun?
Yes, I do.
Where is it?
I keep it in the night table by my bed.
Would you mind if Officer Ryan went with you to pick it up?
No, of course not. This is serious, isn't it?
Well, it's a little too soon to tell.
Same old Mac. Always making life a little nicer than it really is. I'll see you later.
How soon will you know if that blood is the same type as Jason Richards?
It won't be long, sir. We've already checked with Mr. Richards' doctor. His records are being rushed to the lab.
All right. Tell Hank I want a voice graph made of this tape. I want to determine if the voices at the beginning and at the end of the tape were recorded in the same room.
Yes, sir.
We sure do meet people at the wrong end of the stick, don't we, sir?
How do you mean?
Well, you know. Here I've been collecting her records for maybe 10 years. And now for the first time I meet her. And I may be taking evidence that'll cost her life.
Mildred, surely I don't need all of those.
You sure do. The doctor's prescribed the vitamins himself.
The vitamins, where'd the rest of those things come from?
Well, some the pharmacist said couldn't do any harm, and the rest were my idea.
And now the latest headlines. The governor has vetoed the tax rebate bill, sent it back to the Senate.
Oh, that's no surprise.
Torch singer Lee Richards' husband, Jason Richards, head of the Richards Music Corporation, was reported missing today. Police Commissioner Stuart McMillan has refused to comment, but his presence at the investigation indicates possible foul play.
Lee Richards. He called her Lee. She's the Hallelujah Chorus.
Well, she's a good singer, of course, but don't you think that's going a bit far?
If I had known that the voice out of Mac's past had a body like that to go with it. And to think I sent him right over there.
Well, you just have to keep reminding him you're pregnant.
I'm not going to resort to that tactic, Mildred.
Oh, are you kidding? Now's the time to fight fire with fire. Keep fainting.
Even if I were worried, just a little, I still wouldn't use my condition. I'll get it. Hello?
How are you feeling?
Why didn't you tell me that was Lee Richards on the phone?
Oh, have you been resting?
Do you know it was only last Christmas you gave me one of her albums? How could you?
I gave you one of her albums because you asked for it.
Well, under the circumstances, I think it was a rather tacky thing to do.
I'd better come home.
No, don't come home. Not on my account. Mac, what happened to her husband?
There's every indication that her husband's been murdered.
Oh, Mac.
I was calling to tell you not to wait dinner for me, but I'll come on home. Enright can handle the investigation.
You talk as if you think I'm jealous.
Well, you're not, are you?
Of course not. I'm going to take her album, and I'm going to
Play it again. I love the way she sings. Maybe you could tell her that for me, Mac.
I'll tell her I married an angel.
Oh, get her to sing it for you.
Mrs. Denny, you've been Jason Richards' secretary for years. Did he and Mrs. Richards ever have words here in the office?
No, I never heard them arguing. I make it a practice not to listen for that sort of thing.
You like Mrs. Richards, don't you?
Oh, yes, Mrs. Richards is a wonderful, talented woman, and she's very easy to get along with. Lets me run my office. No interference, if you know what I mean.
Yes, I think I do. Look, Mrs. Denny, I'm a friend of Lee's, and the more we know, the more we'll be able to help her. Now, a business like this must be filled with young girls trying to get a start. I'd imagine some of them pretty aggressive in trying to get Mr. Richards' attention.
Aggressive is the nicest word I've heard for it. Most of them would do anything to cut a test album.
And how does Mrs. Richards feel about that? Now, I know you're not the type of person who likes to eavesdrop, but there must be some argument you couldn't help overhearing. Arguments about other women?
Mrs. Richards has a right to be upset. I mean, wouldn't you be if you'd made your husband a rich man and he chased everything in skirts?
Anyone in particular?
Are you asking me officially? As the police commissioner? I'm not a gossip, you know.
As the police commissioner.
Good. Virginia Duke. Even give her a job at the club, a cigarette girl. She brings Mr. Richards a lot more than cigarettes, if you get my meaning.
You make it very easy for me, Mrs. Denny.
That one knows what she's about, all right. She fancies herself a singer. She's just waiting to replace Mrs. Richards on and off stage.
You discovered the recording and then you called the police. Is that right, Mrs. Denny?
I always play the tape recorder first thing Monday mornings. Mr. Richards usually comes in alone on Saturdays and leaves some dictation for me.
Their argument sounds very conveniently recorded.
Mr. Richards records all his conversations. He's got this thing about lawsuits.
Could Mr. Richards have taken the recorder home with him Friday evening?
No, I was using it when he left.
Well, of course, he could have used another machine and then just transferred the tape.
Or he could have returned for the recorder after everybody had gone, taped the argument at home, and brought the machine back on Saturday.
Well, if Mrs. Richards argued with her husband at home on Friday night, and that was the last time she saw him, what was she doing here in the office on Saturday morning?
How do you know she was here?
Oh, I took her up on the elevator around 11:45 Saturday morning. I remember because it was just before lunchtime. Good little clock watching, I guess.
Did you take her down again?
No, she must have gone down herself while I was eating lunch.
Did you see Mr. Richards?
No, but then he usually gets in before I do on Saturdays. But I know he was here because his car was parked in the basement garage when I punched in that morning.
His car is not there now, sir. But there's a large blood stain in his parking place. We've already taken samples. We're comparing them with Jason Richards' blood type and the samples we found upstairs in his office.
You think it's going to match, huh?
Yes, sir, I do.
If Jason Richards parked his Rolls Royce head in, that would mean the trunk would be right about there, huh?
Yes, sir. We also estimate that the amount of blood that was found down here and in his office almost guarantees that the body was dead.
You think Lee Richards is guilty, don't you?
Everything seems to point that way, sir. Her husband admitted that he was seeing another woman.
And you think that when Jason Richards asked for a divorce, she shot him, dragged his body out of the office, down the service elevator, out through that door, all the way over here, lifted the body into the trunk, drove the car off, and buried him somewhere, huh?
Well, it is logical, sir. It does make sense.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
Commissioner?
Yeah?
We just picked up a report that one of our Pacifica units found a Rolls convertible abandoned off the coast highway. The vehicle's registered to Jason Richards.
I think this will do it, sir.
The spare tire's been removed?
Yes, sir. Probably to make room. There's another blood stain there. It's obvious the body was taken someplace in this trunk, sir. And by a woman. A dress button, sir, with blood on it.
It's all the same blood type, sir. The office, the parking lot, the trunk, and the button. And most likely all from the same person.
That's an assumption. Is Jason Richards' blood the same type?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Ann.
Mrs. Richards and Officer Ryan are here, sir.
Have him come in. Thank you, Doctor.
Mac, my gun. It's missing.
I checked the house out thoroughly, sir. No sign of it.
Lee, did you go to Jason's office Saturday morning?
Oh, yes, I did.
Why?
He called me and asked me to meet him there, but I never saw him. When I arrived, he wasn't there, so I waited about a half hour and then I left.
Were there any indications that Richards had returned to the house and picked up anything?
No, sir. We checked for that. If he was planning to go anyplace, he must have figured on coming back soon, because his shaving gear was intact and his closets were full of clothing. We did find something in Mrs. Richards' closet. There's a fresh stain on his dress. It looks like dried blood that's been partially washed out with cold water.
And there is a button missing, sir.
Of course I don't think she did it. I mean, I don't know how I can help. Everything I know is right here.
How well do you know Jason Richards?
I work for Lee, and that's it. I started with her way back. I don't talk to anyone else. I don't listen to anyone else.
How do you feel about him?
I feel about my music, and that's all.
After all these years of working with Lee Richards, surely you must have some opinion about him.
In my opinion, whoever killed him was a music lover. Probably ought to get the Grammy Award.
Lee's a great singer, that's all I know.
What about her husband?
I don't know anything about Jason.
You mean you don't even know that he's your partner in this club?
You guys have a way of finding out everything, don't you? Okay, he's my partner, but he wants it kept quiet.
When'd you last see him?
Over a week ago.
Well, now, isn't that odd? I mean, considering that you're getting ready for your big opening?
Look, I run the club. All Jason wants are the fringe benefits.
They ought to send that dame to the chair. Even that's too good for her.
California uses gas, although they haven't used it in over a decade now.
You're breaking my heart.
Your relationship with Mr. Richards was serious, I take it.
I'm serious about one thing, mister. My career. And that dame's a career crusher. Now, you find her dead in some alley, then you come straight to Little Virginia, because I'll be your #1 suspect. But until then, bug off.
Did you learn anything?
No. She's just a typical little country girl frightened by the big city.
Wait for me. I've got the gun. You all right, Commissioner?
Yeah, I'm fine. Is this the gun he used? You in love with her?
Yes.
Enough to kill Jason Richards for?
Yes.
Only you didn't. Even a piano player couldn't mess with a gun sight like this. Unless he wanted to.
You mean you're not going to arrest me?
Oh, we're going to arrest you, all right. Assault with a deadly weapon. It'll give you a stiff fine and a suspended sentence. That's the best we can do for you.
This is my life. Today, tomorrow, love will come and find me. For that's the way that I was born to be. This is me.
He's here. He's pulling into the garage right now. Do you believe it?
Yes, I do. Will you take that surprise out of your voice? It's not very flattering.
Oh, look, I knew he'd show up, honey. I kept telling you he would, didn't I?
I wasn't asking.
You want me to turn off the record player?
No. I've always loved that album. I still do. Except for that big scratch you put in it when you put it on.
I was thinking of your husband. He's had to listen to her all evening, probably. He could use a rest.
Mildred, could you find another way of phrasing that?
Okay, I'll work on it. But right now, he's coming up the stairs. Go on and faint again, honey.
Mildred, how did my mother ever let me take you with us when I got married?
Because she knew that you needed me more than she did. She was right.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, sweetheart. How you feeling?
Fine.
She's exhausted, and who can blame her, considering that...
I'm fine. What about you, darling? Did you have time for some supper?
You missed a wonderful meal here tonight. Your wife and I shared a fillet of sole by candlelight. Oh, so romantic.
I wish I could have made it. I only had time for a sandwich.
Uh-huh. Well, it's a shame you couldn't have been here with us. I'd already set up a lovely table by the fire when you finally called.
Good night, Mildred.
Good night. I'll just turn off the record player. Sorry.
You know, that was very sweet of you to call, Mac.
I always call when I'm going to be late.
Oh. Well, how are things going for Lee?
Everything we uncovered points to the fact that she killed him.
So you're convinced she didn't, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Is she still as lovely as she was when you first met her?
If anything, she's lovelier.
You're so honest. I hate that quality in you.
She's not anywhere near as lovely as a girl I married.
I love that quality in you. As long as we're on an honesty kick, why didn't you tell me why you never even mentioned her before?
Why are you making such a big thing out of Lee Richards? She's not the only girl that's popped up out of my past.
I know, but I didn't mind all those high macs. You never even remembered any of them. I don't think you ever forgot Lee.
It was a long time ago, Sally. 12 years.
Oh, before I was born.
Yeah, robbed you right out of the cradle, didn't I?
I'm not joking. I wasn't alive until I met you, which makes me about 5 years old. Don't you dare make a remark about that's how I'm behaving either. This is very difficult for me. Nobody's ever going to pop up out of my past. I don't even have a past.
You know how many years it took me to find a girl who could make that statement?
I love you.
From what I've learned, sir, Ben Matthews was involved with Jason Richards in much more than just the club. He arranged women for him and just about anything else that he wanted.
Maybe Richards had something on him. Forced him into taking him in as a partner. Forced him into getting girls for him.
Forced him once too often?
Yeah, that's a thought. Yes, Ann?
District Attorney Chapman to see you, sir.
Have him come in. Here we go.
Hello, Commissioner.
Sergeant.
Hello, Bob. How's everything down on the 4th floor?
Well, we still get to put a few criminals behind bars. Certainly a lot more than when you were defending them.
Which brings us to the Lee Richards case.
Still the same, straight to the point Scotsman. All right, let's talk about it. My boys feel they've got enough to press for an indictment, but you're recommending against booking her, and I want to know why.
Too many things about the case I don't like.
Such as?
Well, there's no dead body, no murder weapon.
There is a tape of the argument with the husband, her missing gun, the blood-stained button in the trunk of the car.
That's all circumstantial, you know that.
Now, come on now. Why don't you admit it? You've been biased in this case right from the beginning.
That's a lie.
Now, come off it, Mac. Everyone knows she's an old friend.
Well, it wouldn't matter if she were a complete stranger. I'm telling you, this case stinks.
Then maybe you ought to resign as police commissioner and defend the case. Personally, I think I could take you on this one.
Maybe I should. Might be fun taking this case.
That's what bothers me, how you can defend a cool, calculating woman who killed her husband with precise premeditation.
Ah, save it for the jury. If Lee Richards is as cold and as calculating as you say she is, why would she kill her husband moments after the elevator operator saw her? And according to the tape recorder, the very convenient tape recorder, the murder was committed at the heat of an argument, which of course throws premeditation right out the window.
If a woman takes a gun from her home, sticks it in her purse, and takes it to a man's office, we can presume she premeditated the use of it and killed him in cold blood.
Are you sure it was premeditation? Or was it passion? You can't have it both ways.
I'll take it either way. Guilty is guilty. Now, I want an arrest.
When I have enough evidence to warrant an arrest, I'll make an arrest. And then I'll let you know.
Well, you better let me know soon. Because I don't intend to be a sitting duck for the press when they come screaming for blood. I intend to let the mayor and everyone else know exactly what and who the problem is.
And you, Sergeant?
Well, sir, there's a lot that I don't understand about you and Mrs. Richards. How long you've known her,
All right, I'll fill you in, so you can have an unbiased opinion. I first met Lee in my second year of law school. She was singing in a cabaret near the campus. Now let's have your unbiased opinion. Do you think I'm wrong, too?
Yes, sir. I do.
Love is just a word of
Who is it? Mac, I'm so glad you're here. Come in. I'll turn down this music. I was just listening to my latest master. You know, it comes out in a couple of months, and, well, I was thinking of adding some strings and maybe a cello. What do you think?
For only fools believe it's true.
It sounds perfect the way it is.
Oh, well, then it's settled. We'll print it like it is. Mac, I called that lawyer you recommended. He was very nice, but after he went over all the evidence, he said I'd be a lot better off if you were handling the case.
Oh, it's just an old lawyer's trick to double the fee.
Well, I'll remember that. Would you like a drink?
We have work to do.
Okay, Counselor, you ask, and I'll answer.
When did you first learn that your husband was seeing another woman?
Well, you know women, Mac. You can't put an exact time to a thing like this. You just wake up one day and you know, that's all. Like you've always known. Well, maybe it's the way he didn't kiss you or didn't mess up your hair or maybe it's just the way he didn't pat you on the fanny. I don't know, but all you know for sure is that you know.
How long ago was that?
About 6 months.
It was a long time before you confronted him with it.
Well, I was hoping that he'd have his mid-40s fling and come back to his senses.
Did he have many affairs?
If it moved, he went after it. Well, they weren't anything much to him. They were just casual affairs.
Did you ever have a private investigator check up on him?
Well, what good would that have done? I didn't want to torture myself with knowing who she was and seeing her face and knowing where they met.
What kind of a girl is he attracted to?
You're pursuing the theory that he left town with another woman, aren't you?
I'm pursuing every theory. That's why I want to know what kind of a girl he was attracted to.
Well,
Generally speaking, he liked them tall, shapely, athletic. He liked to sail his boat. You know, we used to do a lot of sailing in the old days. Well, he liked them young. Yes, I would definitely say that it's a young girl.
Now, I want to talk about the big discrepancy. You say the argument happened here in your house and not in the office, huh?
Definitely. We argued, but I didn't kill him. He left home alive that night, and Saturday he wasn't in his office. I'd swear to that under oath. Take a lie detector test, anything. I didn't kill him, Mac. I didn't.
That's what we're going to prove. I'll take that drink now.
What would you like?
Scotch?
Scotch? Nothing else?
No, Lee. Nothing else.
Well, now that's what I call inviting. It's gonna take all my control not to make it a threesome.
But you will use control.
Wait a minute. I hear him coming. Get into bed quick. I'll whiten down your face with some powder.
Mildred, I've told you I refuse to take unfair advantage just because I'm pregnant. I can't stand women who use that trick just to hold on to their husbands.
And you know why they use it? Because it works. That's why.
When he gets here, you will keep your mouth shut.
That's a suggestion.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Hi. Oh, Mildred, what's for dinner? Smells good. What's with her?
Laryngitis, I hope. How was your day?
Fine.
Mm.
You kicked me.
Poor Lee.
How did you know things were going badly for her?
I didn't. I was just feeling sorry for her because she let you get away.
Hello?
Hello, Commissioner. I think I've got something. Well, sir, it seems that a Miss Erickson always called Mr. Richards just before each of his business trips.
Where do we find her?
No address. But the return phone number was a photo studio. You know, sir, one of those kind where they rent you a camera and...
Candy Erickson.
Wow, what a dish.
You know something? Business has dropped off almost 25% since she left. She really knew how to bring out the art in a fella. They'd go in for 15-minute appointment and wind up shooting her for hours. Once they start, they can't take their eyes off her.
Did she ever talk about any of her boyfriends?
Talking to Candy about her social life. That's like trying to discuss troop movements with the Army Chief of Staff. Although I heard lately she's been playing house with just one guy.
What's his name?
Well, she didn't say. But if I know Candy, he's a player with plenty of dough.
When'd you last see her?
Friday. I called her house, but there was no answer. Is she in some kind of trouble?
We don't know yet.
I'll tell you something, she's unreliable. She owes me a lot of money, you know. I advanced her half a week's pay.
Could you give us her address, please? Also, all the photographs of her that you can spare.
Hey, pal, I get a lot of money for pictures of her.
We know you're only too happy to cooperate with your police department, don't we?
You took the words right out of my mouth.
In this case, I think he put them in.
Miss Erickson leave word she was going out of town.
No, she didn't. And it's most unusual because she always likes to make sure that I'll take care of her mail and deliveries.
The closet's full of clothes, sir. Nothing to indicate her taking a long trip. And there are men's cosmetics in the bathroom.
Tell me, did you ever see her in the company of this man?
Well, that's hard to say because there were so many of them.
Would you mind if we looked around a little more?
Just take your time. Be sure the door is locked when you leave.
What now, sir?
You try it.
Okay. Now, if we follow your theory, Jason Richards and Candy Erickson became lovers. And they had a hideaway somewhere outside of San Francisco.
Not too far away. They use it for weekends.
Right. There's a torn program in here. And a book of matches. And some tissue paper.
Yeah, well, check it for fingerprints. In fact, check everything for fingerprints.
Yes, sir. Commissioner, I was wondering if...
What are you doing here?
That's my question.
This girl I know gave me the key to her apartment. Told me to pick something up.
What?
It's personal.
You ever been here before?
No.
It's funny. You know exactly where the lamp was. In fact, you walked right to it, in the dark.
I got good night vision.
You also have a good memory. Matthews, if you're involved in this case, your club license could be revoked. You know that?
I'm not involved in anything.
Tell me about it.
There's nothing to tell. I set Candy up in his apartment about a year ago. We had a nice thing going.
Until Jason came along, huh?
That's right. Jason was as dumb as I was. He really thought she was going to run away with him.
He told you that?
He rubbed it in. Nothing he liked better than to take somebody's girl away from him. Believe me, all she wanted was a career.
What did Jason have on you?
Nothing. Why?
Well, he forced you to make him a partner. He stole your girl out right from under your nose. You might just want to see a man like him dead, huh?
You're reaching, Commissioner.
When did you last see Candy?
About 3 months ago. I told her I was tired of picking up the tab on his apartment. She laughed and told me to get lost.
I notice you still have her key.
Is there a law against that?
No, but it could indicate you're lying. A girl like Candy Erickson would ever locks change after she threw you out.
Okay. I've been seeing Candy all along. She promised as soon as Jason got her career going, she'd get rid of him.
You expect to find her here tonight?
I didn't know. But when I heard that Richards had been killed, I figured the best thing for me to do was to make sure nothing of mine was around.
Tell me, do you think Candy Erickson capable of murder?
You'd really love to put the blame somewhere else, wouldn't you? Well, I'm not going to be any help to you there. This folk singer was appearing in Sausalito 3 weeks ago during one of Jason Richards' long weekends. Richards' fingerprints are on that program.
The owner of a record company is always looking for new talent.
Yes, sir, but Candy Erickson's fingerprints are on the program also.
All right, so we brought along a lady friend. Now I suppose you're going to show me a book of matches, which means that somebody likes seafood and took a drive out to Sausalito for dinner. Sorry, Commissioner, but I don't see the relevance.
You don't find it relevant that Richards spent long weekends with a photo model? And said model and Richards are both missing at the same time?
Suppose I do. How does that alter the evidence that Lee Richards killed her husband?
Well, we won't know that till we cross the bridge into Sausalito. Now, will we?
What exactly do you want me to do, Mac?
Keep your eyes open. See if you can spot anybody who knew Jason.
And if we find they did have a place in Sausalito, how will that help?
All we have to do is find some evidence that Jason was alive on Saturday morning. We can break the back of Chapman's case.
And if we don't?
Sorry. I can't say I've seen either of them.
We have a lot of territory to cover, Fred. Do you know where we could rent a couple of cars?
Sure. 2 blocks up the street and a short ride.
Can you spare 3 walkie-talkies?
Sure thing. I hope you find what you're looking for, Mac.
Wow, what a figure. No wonder you're looking for her. You know, if I looked like that, I doubt if I'd be pumping gas for a living.
Have you seen her?
Nah. Sure I won't do, Hanson?
Thank you very much.
No, but she sure is pretty. Did you say she was a model? Boy, that's what I'd like to do. Anything to get out of here.
You'll find something, Mac. You're never wrong about these things.
I didn't call about that. I just want to know how you're feeling.
Oh, I'm feeling terrific. I whipped 2 mountain lions and 3 tigers and Mildred all this morning.
You take it easy on those mountain lions. They're not as tough as Mildred.
I know, you're right. Mac, do you think you're going to be home for dinner? You know, I don't like going to bed with just a candle-lit table for company.
Blow out your candles, Sally, and take a nap. I'll be home in time to wake you up.
Mac? I know that Lee's going to come through this thing all right.
Goodbye.
Commissioner.
Nothing.
Mac, maybe Chapman's right.
Chapman's wrong. Somewhere, somebody's going to be able to recognize a picture of those 2. Let's keep looking.
Well, I can't say I know him by the names you've been using, young fella. But they look like the Jays. I showed them a few houses, but they wanted something a little more private, you know.
Tell me, do you know if they bought anything around here?
Well, now, I hear they bought the McIntosh place.
Thank you very much, sir. It's in a little cove about 5 miles north of town. I'll be parked in front.
Good work, Enright. Did you hear that, Lee?
Yes, I'll meet you there.
Enright, call the sheriff and get a search warrant. And tell him to dig up all the information he can on the Jays.
Yes, sir. I think we're in luck, sir. The agent who sold the house to Jason Richards identified him and Mr. J as the same person.
Have we really found them?
Kind of looks that way. Enright, why don't you check the boat and the dock? We'll check the house.
Yes, sir.
Lipstick. Is this going to be too tough for you?
Like the man said on the ship, damn the torpedoes.
It's dated Saturday. Still fresh. That means someone was here over the weekend.
Oh, Mac.
There's no freezer compartment.
Oh, that's an old icebox.
Yeah, but there has to be a freezer somewhere. This is the frozen cut waffles. Here it is. Meat, vegetables, TV dinners. Enough frozen food here to last 2 people for a long time. Most of it seems to have been bought within the last couple of days.
What makes you say that?
Well, there's no frost on it. See? Packages on the bottom here. They're covered with it. Look.
If only we could find who sold them this on Saturday.
Yes, it could prove that Jason wasn't in his office on Saturday. Can't be in 2 places at the same time.
Commissioner!
Out here. What's wrong?
Candy Erickson. Her body was floating under the dock. Sir, it looks like an obvious case of a double murder.
Yeah. A jealous wife kills her husband and his mistress. Just a little too obvious, don't you think?
Sir, the district attorney's office is going to press for an indictment, whether we like it or not. And if anything about Candy Erickson's death points to Mrs. Richards, they'll have a prima facie case.
There's still a body missing. Until we find Richards or some other answers, the investigation is open.
Okay, sir. What do you want to do about Mrs. Richards?
I'll drive her back to the city. I think the best thing would be for her to turn herself in.
Shame. Pretty young girl like that. I'd sure like to get my hands on the person who did it.
You can help, Fred. Put out an APB to apprehend Jason Richards.
Richards? He's dead, isn't he?
Let's find out. And lean on your coroner, hard. I want an A to Z autopsy on that girl, and I want the results now.
I'll do what I can. Talk to you later.
I want you to question every grocer in the area. I have a hunch Richards bought some eggs, milk, and a large amount of frozen food sometime Saturday morning.
But the elevator operator said he saw him in his office on Saturday morning.
He saw his car, but he didn't see Jason Richards.
We don't stand a chance, Mag. Why not admit it?
We'd have stood a better chance if you'd told me everything.
I have.
No, Jason could have gotten a divorce if that was all he wanted. But no, he tried to frame you on a murder rap and be willing to disappear for the rest of his life. He'd have to have a pretty strong reason. What have you got on him?
You never did miss much.
It's more than infidelity, isn't it?
He's been embezzling money from our company for years to pay for his habits. I tried looking the other way, and it got worse. And soon he was forging my name on checks. And about a year ago, he sold several $100,000 of company stock without authorization.
Did you tell him you could have him thrown in jail?
Yes. I told him he could have his freedom in exchange for 20 years hard labor.
Do you think he killed her?
I don't know why he would. To hear him tell it, he loved her more than life.
Well, suppose he didn't tell her about his plan to frame you until he'd taken her to the cabin and she refused to go along with it. Now, he'd already committed himself. He left an awful lot of blood around and a tape recorder in the office. It's too late. He had to do it.
Possibly. But I don't think he has the guts to kill him off.
McMillan.
District Attorney Chapman would like to speak to you, Commissioner.
Put him on.
Yes, sir.
The DA.
The Highway Patrol found Candy Erickson's car this morning. Lee Richards' .22 caliber pistol was in the glove compartment. Her prints are on it.
There's an awful lot of static in this area. Would you repeat that, please?
The Highway Patrol found Candy Erickson's car this morning. Lee Richards' .22 caliber pistol was in the glove compartment, and her fingerprints are on it.
Let's get it over with.
We'll meet in my office at 4 o'clock.
There's no longer any doubt about it, Commissioner. Bullets were removed from Candy Erickson's brain. The ballistics test indicate they were fired from Lee Richards' gun.
Where's the rest of the autopsy report?
On its way from Sausalito. In the meanwhile, Miss Richards, I intend to charge you with the murder of your husband, Jason Richards, and Candy Erickson. Now, you have the right to remain silent. And I warn you, anything you say can be used against you. And, Commissioner, this one I'll make stick.
Hi, honey.
Hi, Mac.
Sorry I'm so late.
That's okay. Any luck?
No luck.
How's Lee?
Beaten. Like me.
What happened?
She's been charged with the double murder of her husband and his mistress.
You're still convinced she's innocent, aren't you?
Yeah. Which makes me unique.
You won't let her be convicted, will you, Mag?
You're remarkable, you know that? Most wives would love to see their husbands' old girlfriends behind bars.
You really cared for her, didn't you?
I thought I did.
Well, then you just better go out and save her, because I don't want my competition behind bars looking romantic and unobtainable.
Ooh. All right, I'll save her first thing in the morning. Hello?
Commissioner, you were right. Jason was shopping for groceries on Saturday morning. Yes, sir, I've got a man here who can positively identify him.
Is he willing to make a statement?
Well, he's already agreed to. We'll be at your office in about half an hour.
Right. Sally, but... What would I ever do without you?
That's something you'll never know.
He stopped in about noon or shortly after. I remember because my wife had just brought lunch, and I couldn't eat until he finished his order. He didn't buy much. Milk, eggs, that was it.
And you're absolutely sure that it was the same man?
Oh, yes, sir. I know Mr. J real good. Most of the time when he comes in, he orders a whole mess of frozen foods. But not this time.
Thanks very much.
We appreciate you taking this trouble.
My pleasure.
If Jason Richards was alive on Saturday, who was killed in his office?
If someone was killed in the office.
The rest of the autopsy report, sir.
Yep.
A copy's been placed on your desk, sir.
Thanks, Ryan. Of course, there's another possibility. Lee Richards arrived at noon, but no one saw her leave. Jason Richards could have arrived at the office in the afternoon while she was still waiting for him. She could have killed him in the office, and then she still had time to hide the body and get up to the cabin and kill Candy Erickson.
Possible. Except for this. Take a look.
No water in the lungs, killed instantly by the first 2 bullet wounds. I don't see anything here to clear Lee Richards.
Look at the time of death. According to the autopsy report, Candy Erickson's been dead approximately 48 hours. Today is Wednesday.
That means she was killed sometime Monday afternoon. But Mrs. Richards was in San Francisco all day Monday. Talk about your ironclad alibi.
I apologize, Commissioner. Of course, with this, all charges against Mrs. Richards will be dismissed.
Oh, I don't know how to thank you, Matt.
Thanks are necessary.
Well, the paperwork's all done, Mrs. Richards. You're free to go.
And I want to thank you, too, Sergeant.
Oh, well, I'm not really so sure you should. I mean, I really thought that you were guilty.
Oh, well, that's all right. They almost had me to that point.
I'll say one thing for the commissioner, though. He never wavered. He knew you were innocent.
That's because he knows me so well. Oh, Matt. Do you think your wife would mind if I kissed you goodbye? Well, Sergeant Enright is here to ensure propriety.
I don't think she'd mind. You don't mind that I kissed her, do you?
Of course I don't mind. Why should I mind? What was it? Just an innocent peck on the cheek. Frankly, I don't know a woman alive who wouldn't want to kiss my husband. Anyway, darling, you know how I feel about jealousy. It's beneath a woman to concern herself with such a cheap emotion. I don't care if she kissed you or if she didn't kiss you.
I think you've made your point, Sally. Now, have you found anything edible in there yet?
Mayonnaise, you want some?
Just mayonnaise?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's nothing. Let's try the freezer. Let's see. Enchiladas? Macaroni and cheese. When did Mildred buy that?
Yesterday. Mac, if you don't want to eat frozen food, why don't we send out for some of that fantastic pizza?
Yesterday.
This love of mine had no beginning. It has no end. I was an oak, now I'm a willow. Now I can bend. And if I never in my life see you again, still here I'll stay until it's time for you to go. Here I'll stay until it's time
Well, I'm so glad you've come. We didn't get a chance to say goodbye properly, or hello either, for that matter. Jason, have they found him?
Sit down, Lee.
Mac, you're frightening me. What is it?
It ain't gonna work.
What are you talking about,
The
Mac?
murder of your husband and the murder of Candy Erickson.
Oh, Mac, don't make a bad joke, please.
You planted two sets of evidence. The first to prove your guilt, the second, the alibis to prove your innocence. By very carefully incriminating yourself, you made it look like Jason had framed you. No one, including me, would ever suspect you of framing yourself.
Mac, this isn't funny.
No, it isn't. Friday night, you brought a tape recorder home, baiting Jason into an argument, and you recorded it. When he asked you for a divorce, you pulled a gun on him. He told you to put it down, and you did.
Mac,
Then Jason left for the office, picked up Candy, went out to Sausalito to the cabin. You stayed home here and edited the tape. You took out the part about putting the gun down, and you added gunshots and the sound of a body being dragged across the room. Then the same night, you took the tape recorder back to the office because you knew that the secretary would play it first thing Monday morning.
Mac, I'm not going to...
Then on Saturday, you went back to the office to make sure the elevator boy saw you. Then you went back to Sausalito, found Candy alone because Jason was at the market, and you shot her. Then when Jason came back, you shot him too.
Well, that's outrageous. How dare you?
All that blood, missing button, the ditch car, you planted all those clues. And then you turned me loose.
Well, that isn't true, any of it. I didn't kill Jason. And I couldn't have killed Candy. You saw the autopsy report. I was in San Francisco when she was shot.
An autopsy, Lee, determines the time of death by the amount of decomposition in the body at the time of the examination. You delayed the decomposition by placing Candy's body in the freezer. Then on Sunday, you took the body out of the freezer, dumped it in the bay, knowing it wouldn't thaw out in the cold water until Monday. A laboratory analysis will prove the food taken out of the freezer to make room for Candy's body was refrozen after you dumped the body in the bay.
That was freshly bought frozen food. You said so yourself.
The grocer said that Jason didn't buy any frozen food on Saturday. You didn't know that when you shot him. That was your big mistake. Jason's body is out there somewhere, isn't it? Now that we know that, we'll find him.
You really are the best.
Of course you needed me to follow up on all those clues so quickly. If we didn't find Candy's body in time, your whole plan would have fallen apart.
Well, either way, the object was to have him dead.
A divorce would have made better sense.
No, alive, he humiliated me. All those girls, the cheaper, the better. You don't know what I took, what I would have gone on taking if only he hadn't said he was leaving me. Surely you understand.
No, Lee, I don't.
You're not a dream, you're not an angel, you're a man. I'm not a queen, I'm a woman. Take my hand. We'll build a space in the lives that we planned, and here we'll stay until it's time for you to go. Yes, we're different, worlds apart, we're not the same. We laughed and played at the start like in a game. You could have stayed outside my heart, but in you came, and here you'll stay until it's time for you to go. Don't ask why, and don't ask how, and don't ask forever. Love me now. This love of mine had no beginning. It has no.
Sergeant Enright says that you were brilliant. He said that if District Attorney Chapman had had his way, that he would have brought Lee to trial, and that once the alibis that she had set up had been discovered, that she would have been acquitted. And he said if that had happened, that the double jeopardy law would have prevented her from ever being brought to justice. You know what I can't figure out? What the clue was that got you started. My dad always said that it's some little clue that leads you to the big ones. But I can't figure out what that little clue was. And neither can Sergeant Enright. We went over all of them very carefully. Come on, Mac, give a girl some help. What was the little clue? I bet you if you just give me a little hint, I could guess it. Just a hint. One word hint. Just a little hint.
Okay. Let's see. Matches.
Matches. It's a little clue. Matches. The ones that Sergeant Enright found in the wastebasket?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. She wanted to lead you to Sausalito, right?
Uh-huh.
Well, how did you know that the matches were a clue?
The folder was full.
Well, of course, nobody throws a book full of matches in the wastebasket. Well, I really think that I solved it. Because if I had cooked you dinner, instead of making you take icebox luck, you never would have been poking around the freezer and found the frozen macaroni. I guess I deserve a lot of credit, don't I?
Mm-hmm. Let's go to bed.
Do we have to turn the fire off first?
It's the kind of flame that burns itself up.
That's the kind of flame that I like best.
Come on.